All righty. Well, welcome back. I think you guys know the housekeeping drills. Since we do have different presenters each time, you can go and rename. I'm going to be Robbie Mack today. Whatever you want folks to call you, we can point out, and if you're not raising your hand, we'll call on you that way. Again, if you need to get up, please unmute, unmic, stop video, all that good stuff. We're thrilled today. So building on yesterday's kind of community exploration with Don, we usually kind of stack these together with Mason Mills, who's just an incredible resource for making movies and film. He's been doing this for a long time. He's back at VPM, which is the PBS station. So helping them, producing a lot of great stuff. And I know they're working on a lot of producing resources so that kids can get instruction through PBS. So I know the PBS stations or VPM stations have blocked off 1 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So they're broadcasting lessons. So that's another opportunity to reach students in this remote learning piece. So we're thrilled to have him. He's been teaching at VCU. He worked for the Center Stage Performing Arts Alliance as their digital scholarship lab manager for a while. And he's just a great thought partner and understands what we're trying to do. So enjoy. Mason, we're gonna turn it over to you now.
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, how's it going? I really appreciate being here. I'm glad that we could talk. I'm sure that you can't hear all the birds and the sounds and all that, but you can hear me really well. You can probably see me really well. Probably not. I'm not sure if you could hear me very well back there, so I'm actually going to come up here and point out a couple things. Really, while I was back there, who could hear me really well? Anyone? Nope, probably not. Can you hear me now? Good, thank you. Well, and how does it look? Look at the light behind us. Is the sun behind me or in front of me? Behind my head, right? Is that where we want it when we're doing video? Probably no. So we wanted to start that way just so, as you know, and most of us are learning more and more by where our computers are and all of that, doing these Zoom calls of how things look. Why do things look good at certain times and they don't look good at other times? And we will notice that cameras look at things differently. The camera sees what it sees. So if your face is really blown out, then it's really blown out because it's the camera. It's not your eye that matters. It's what the camera sees. And so in this case, when I'm standing way back there, you can't hear me very well because of all the other sounds. And it's called mic proximity. The fact that my mic is on this iPad, I need to be close to it. So I'm now about a foot away. But back here, can you hear me very well? I can talk to you in an interview. You can ask me questions. I might be able to hear you. But if you are recording that, that's the sound you're going to get. That's the sound you work with. You can't fix that in post-production. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about lighting. I've got the sun behind me. Why don't we try turning it? And try something like that. I think that's a little bit better. It might not be a huge difference, but it's probably a little bit easier on the eyes. So the point being is your setting. How does it look according to the camera? I've had it where I've had lights on my face and my face just blows way out. But you have to look at the shot. So when you're recording things, filming, whatever it is that you're doing, you always want to look at what the camera sees and review it. So you have that process. What I'd like you to do right now is look at your own setup. You have 1 minute because I'm going to move into the room. I want you to look at your setup. Where is your light? Where is your camera? Can you make some adjustments? You probably have already set yourself up the way it works the best, but if you haven't, think about it right now and try some things to make it where it might look a little better. So I'm going to walk on in and go. You can start right now. Okay. I'll give you a little music. La la la. So I'm going to head into the other computer, but please look at your setup. Okay, I see somebody's webcam isn't working. That's okay. I'm going to get feedback. A little bit of Hendrix. I'm going to mute. Okay, you should be able to hear me there. Oh, cool. Sorry. Okay, now you should be able to hear me. I'm going to leave the iPad. And if you can bring up, my computer. Let me make sure I can hear you guys. Rob, can you talk to me briefly?
Yep.
Thank you.
Check.
Okay. So did anybody make any changes? Raise your hand. I might be able to see you. Okay, good. So Andrea, could you unmute and tell me what changes you made?
I just turned on another light.
Here, I'm gonna turn on another light. How's this look? Better?
Oh, no.
Okay. So, it's morning, might as well have a little fun. So you can see if I do a direct light, why is my face totally blown out? Keep it down.
Too much light.
Too much light.
Yeah, and it's really looking at contrast. These cameras nowadays are better because they're actually allowing things to get really bright. And a few years ago, if you had something this bright, it would really clamp everything down. But now if you have a bright window behind you, let's see if somebody has a bright window behind them.
Aaron, do you have a question?
Well, hold on one second. But Eileen, you've got a window behind you. Marjorie, you've got a window. But it works because these cameras now can be, even my window right here. See how bright that is? But it's allowing that to be bright. And a few years ago, it would have clamped that down to be right, and my face would just be dark. But now it's allowing that contrast, that high video level. That's why when my face becomes the brightest, it actually just lets it be totally white. And then everything else is toned down from there. Questions? Yes, Rob, did you notice somebody? Raise your hand if you have a question.
I don't know if that's a...
Oh, Tamiko, is that how you say that?
Yes, Tamiko. So yeah, I see the difference in the lighting as you're manipulating. I'm just curious to know which types of lighting or what type of light you're using.
This is a really fancy desk lamp.
Oh.
It's probably a $10 desk lamp, with a
I'm not even sure. Oh, well, it does have, you know, its own lamp in it, or it doesn't have like a normal fluorescent or something, but I'm not doing anything special. Yes, Bridget.
So I've been teaching online all summer and, you know, in the spring and everything. And one of the things that's bothered me for a really long time is glasses glare.
Yeah.
And, you know, I close my curtains, I turn on, I just can't seem to get rid of the glasses glare.
It really comes down to math and your angle. So where is that light? You'll probably see angles. You can see some glare right here in my glasses, I think. You know, if it's a 45-degree angle, it's going to go right back into the lens. You know, there are some glare-free glasses out there and things that a lot of TV people use, but in reality, when you light and you know someone has glasses, you do move the lamps where it doesn't go right back into the lens. Sometimes if you even do this, if you just pull it down a little bit, it doesn't look so bad for people. And not that this is working because I have a low angle. Is it that one? Yeah. You can see how I moved that light out of the way. But down here, see how that glare comes right back in? So it really comes down to angle. You know, it's if you've got a big window, then you're going to have a hard time moving that glare out of your glasses. So if I put it up on my shelf here, it would be better for my glasses. But I'm not getting the same reflection. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually aiming my lamp at my little desk bookshelf, and it's bouncing off of that back onto my face. Because as you see, if I put it directly on my face, it does that. But really, yeah, with lighting, you're always changing your angle. You're either going way up high or you're going over to the sides, softening, whatever you can do. Okay, well, any other questions? That was a good beginning. Did it make sense when I was out there that was pretty, I mean, that's kind of normal. A lot of us shoot people or film people and think, okay, well, I'll get a wide shot of them and then ask them questions. Guess what? You can't hear them very well because there's 12 feet away from your microphone. So just try to remember that when you're filming, that camera has to be close. If I'm filming Rob, you know, it's going to be like here, you know, which is pretty close. It's about a foot away. Maybe every so often a little farther. What we will talk about later is if you do have the ability to edit, then you can get other shots. So let's say you interview somebody for 10 minutes and then you've got the iPad really close to them or the phone or whatever, and you get all the sound you need. Well, then you say, hey, walk around and I'll just get shots of you, which is called B-roll. You get that extra footage, then you could put that over top of the interview. So we see the person walking around, doing things, yet we can hear them really well because you did the interview in 5 or 10 minutes with the phone really close to them. So that's what we're going to talk about is this process, kind of a technical talk today, but also conceptual. So definitely be aware or feel free to interrupt and ask questions that work for you because we really want to give you the ability to make choices. That's the big thing of today. You'll hear me say it often, over and over. This is a choice. If I make this choice, that's my choice. Whether I mean to or not, it's a choice. This is a choice. You know, this is a choice turned off. These are choices I'm making. Where is my audio? I don't have a microphone on, so I'm sitting right next to my computer. Earlier, I made a choice way out in the, you know, I was only about 10 feet away from that iPad. But I made a choice to be that far back so you could see how bad it looked. Okay, we'll move on unless anybody has quick questions. Raise your hand. Okay, cool. All right, Stacy, if you want to go to the PowerPoint.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, Robbie Mac.
Robbie Mac.
Robbie Mac.
Going back to my youth.
Hi, Rayanne. Did you, anyway, I won't ask you any questions yet. Okay, so video stories. I've been executive producer now probably the last year, and I've been 30 years in broadcast production, 20 years. I've stopped teaching at VCU now, but I did about 20 years there, probably a little more. And then 7 years as a digital arts manager at Center Stage, which is now RPAA. That's how I met some of you guys. And so what we're going to do today is just go over some basics and some conceptual things. And so number one, introduction to the concepts creating these digital moving media is, what are the two major components? Imagery and sound, and that equals story. So how are we going to tell the story with video if we don't have images and sound? You're allowed to bring up the fact that there used to be silent films, but there were scores or all kinds of things going. If you can go back to the first screen, Rob. It looks like it's moving around. But anyway, imagery and sound, that tells the story. Imagery, it's your composition of a shot. What's a composition? Anybody know? Raise your hand if you want to answer it. Yeah, Bridget.
It's where you place things in the visual image.
Yeah, so here's a composition that I'm choosing. It's a choice about where the subject is, right? It's a choice. So this is a choice, right? And we all have seen people doing this in Zoom calls. That is a choice. So that composition you can see is very unbalanced up at the top. You can see, I'm dark, I'm down in the corner. You can't even really see me very well. I'm making a choice. So you can see that this is, so in composition, and some basic ideas about it that most of you probably know, is that they break these, they break the screen up, or the frame. So we've got this frame, right? I think you guys can still see me. So you got the frame, but it's broken into thirds. So I'm in what is called the camera right third. So it's looking from the camera's point of view, and it's in the right third. I'm in the middle third now, and then I'm in the left third. My eyes are in the top third, so this is a third also. Now my eyes are down the middle, and now my eyes are down in the lower third. So what you're trying to really do with composition, and what a lot of people will talk about, is balance. So if I'm actually looking over this way, the reason why you would put me in camera right side is because I'm looking camera left, and now we have balance over here. And the same would go here. And that's why a lot of people are centered, because when I'm looking straight ahead, it's balanced. Now, it's a choice. So if you want it unbalanced, that's fine. We've all seen Hitchcock. Let's see if I can, yeah, I mean, dun, dun. I mean, I'm really liking the fact that I can do this, because, when we were all in the same room, I couldn't do this. This is kind of cool. It's like, earthquake, So there's so many things that you guys can do with the camera. And so the angle, the composition, all of that is choice. So, when we talk about composition, it's where do we want person's eyes to go, our viewers' eyes to go? Right now, you're probably going to my eyes. But if I did something that I'm a little bit over here, you might start looking around the room more. So it's a choice. And it comes down, composition is really deciding where the focal point is. Then you have under imagery, sequencing of images. So what is followed by what, by what, by what equals something. So if I close your eyes right now, everybody close your eyes, relax. Okay. Imagine a dog barking, a cat jumping up a tree, and then the sound of a fire truck and an image of a fire truck coming from a distance. What's the story? And because of where we are, I'll just say the story is a dog barked, scared a cat up a tree. The fire department came to rescue the cat. All right, close your eyes, relax. Dog barks, cat goes up a tree, fire truck goes by. Now what? Fire truck's not coming to get the cat because the cat jumped up after the fire truck came. Wait a minute. Did I just say the same thing? Sorry. Close your eyes. Sorry. Close your eyes. Fire truck makes this, fire truck sound. Dog barks. Cat goes up a tree. There you go. So now the fire truck is first. The dog barks because the fire truck is making a sound. Then the cat is scared up the tree. So the same imagery, but in different order, can tell a different story, right? So I screwed that up, but I think you get my point. All right, cool. So sound. We have narrative and natural sound. So you'll hear me say stuff like gnat sound. So when I was outside, we had a loud gnat sound, natural sound because of the birds and all of that. But narrative is what you're hearing right now. That is me telling stories, compelling this through whatever it is. It's my speaking to you. And then you have the order and progression of sound. So how does it flow? So those are the two big things to make a video. It's sound and imagery. Now you have music, you have all these things, but that's really what it comes down to. And then, as you all have taught on your own, beginning, middle, and end. You can't help it. You can't help to have a beginning and middle and end. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not, unless it's on a loop that never ends. Okay, videos are time-based. What does that mean? Raise your hand, please, if you'd like to answer that. Anyone? I may not be able to see you. I'll probably have to change my view here. Well, I don't see any hands, but I'm sorry if you could just unmute yourself if you are trying to do anything. Okay, I'll answer that. You can go to the next screen, Robbie Mack. All right. Basically, it's time-based because a video tells a story over the course of real time. Obviously, like with a book, you can kind of scan, you can go back, you can look. Typically, a video is playing from beginning, middle to end. It is over real time. If it's 2 minutes long, it's going to take 2 minutes to watch it. If it's 10 minutes long, it takes 10 minutes to watch it. If it's a 2-hour film or a 3-hour film, then it takes 3 hours to watch it. If you're getting the full story. So when it's time-based, it's basically working in time, in real time. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so any questions at this point? Thank you, Stacy. Okay, real quick, what we would like to do is talk about interviews, the interview process, and that is because we have sound and we have narrative and all of that, one of the ways to do this is with dialogue. So how do we do an interview? I think you guys heard a good talk with Don yesterday. I've heard that talk many times. That is a fantastic description of how to interview. So the things I want you to think about when interviewing is ask open-ended questions. Be as quiet as you can after asking the question and think of what you're going to ask next. So if we can go to the next screen. We're going to actually break out and do this. You will break out into interview a colleague, and you will be interviewed. You have 2 minutes to do this. So I'm not going to have you write down 3 questions because I am way behind time. But I want you to quickly think about this. Remember to ask a question. So Rob, I'm going to do this real quick with you. Rob, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Rob McAdams.
Okay. Do you like teaching?
Yes.
Okay. Those were great examples of really great questions, right? Because I got great answers like Rob McAdams and yes. So I can put together a really great story, right? How about this one? Rob, tell me a little bit about how you got into teaching and into what you do.
Well, I was in art school and teaching.
Okay, that's good. I think you guys get it. All right, Rob, tell me about your hair situation right now. How are you feeling about it?
Well, I've been letting my hair go in quarantine, so it kind of reflects all the anxiety and probably depression and stress that I've been having. But now that RPS, we have a path forward, we know what the kids are going to do, I might cut my hair because I know what's coming next.
Okay, so I think you guys get it. We all get it, is that please ask questions that will lead a person to tell you something. You know, hey, how are you? Good. You know, tell me how you're feeling right now. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we are going to break out. So the first thing you got to do is pick who will ask the questions first. Then you'll have 2 minutes to ask questions, and then we'll switch. So Stacy or Rob, I think it's Stacy that's going to break you out. Have fun. We'll be back in a few minutes. Okay. Hello, everybody. I think we're back in the main room. Christina, I'm sorry I didn't get to your last question there. That was a good one. Okay, well, if we can go back to the PowerPoint, we will quickly talk about that, though, is in your chat, please write, anything that really came up. But I will ask if a few people will raise their hand or unmute and just talk about their experience. Michael, what did you learn? Who did you interview, and what did you learn?
So I interviewed 2 people, and the first person that I interviewed was Robin, and Robin's a teacher in Powhatan. She's taken courses with PIA before and is here in a grant and is really excited and energized about it. I learned also a bit about the history of a tattoo that she has and about her relationship with her father and what it was like being, growing up around him where he's working in his garage on muscle cars and, very happy, nostalgic memory.
Cool.
And I also spoke with Karen, and Karen is running a Zoom tutoring, or running Zoom tutoring sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays with a group of students, and has found that it's through the pandemic has been able to really get a good sense of what the kids need and what the kids and how the kids are doing, and it's and it sounds like a really interesting, fun course. And she told me that the way that they sign out at the end of the meetings is to say peace and to do like that, and the kids really seem to get a kick out of it. Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome. Okay, well, that sounded great. And it looks like other people are writing in the chat about how Chad did a great job interviewing other people. So hopefully you got something out of that. You got to practice something that we've talked about. Many of you already know this, but whenever you're filming someone, isn't the idea if you're interviewing someone to really capture what their stories are? So the best way to do that is to ask them an open-ended question that they have to fill out. Might not even be a full question, explain to me how you feel, You know, that's not quite a question, but it really gets the ball rolling of what they're going to talk about. The other thing is when video recording is we want to record handles. That means if I'm asking you a question and you're done answering, I'm going to wait a second before I ask my next question. Because when I'm recording it, I want to be able to edit that. I want to be able to pace it. I might want to not use the following up question. I might want to just use that one question. And if I'm stepping on your words, or if I'm asking a question right after you're done, it leaves me no room to edit. So I usually like to, nod or smile or whatever the appropriate response is, but I have it built into my head just to wait a second before asking the next question. So think about those things when you're recording, is that you are recording. Where is the microphone for that person? Not where it is to you, but where it is to them. Proximity of that microphone is extremely important. And then number two, making sure you're quiet. And that could mean rubbing your hand on the phone. I mean, if your hand is on the microphone and you're rubbing back and forth or sniffling or something, and you're closer to the microphone than they are, that's a lot of noise that doesn't need to be there. So thinking about it from the microphone's point of view is really important, not from your own perspectives. Just like we talked about with camera, a camera looks a certain way with light on it. Doesn't matter what I see, it matters what the camera sees. It's the same with microphone. Doesn't matter what I hear, it matters what the microphone hears. Okay, so I'm sure there are certain questions that had better responses, things like that. So, yep, we can go to the next one, Robbie Mack. All right, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do want to give you an example, and you can have this, all these things to go back and look on these clips that I have up. But I did want to, we're about to go into, to tell you about your project that you're going to work on, a video project that you're going to do. And what I want to let you know is that here at VPM, we came up with an idea to ask professional filmmakers to turn the cameras on themselves and to tell a story about what it was like going through COVID for them at that time, because many of them just didn't have work. As a lot of people know, depending on the work that you do, all of a sudden it just shut down for a month or two for people. And so people that were producers and camera operators and all that, that happened to them. So as well. So we asked them to make a couple pieces. And so, yeah, if you could go to We All Reflect Hope, just scroll down. This is, so the point to this is that they all, well, actually scroll up and let's look at the description. Go to the top of the page. And you can see this was basically what they were supposed to do, is tell us what's going on in their lives. We had 5 totally different pieces. I mean, totally different. Now, go ahead and play a little bit of We All Reflect Hope. See if we can get sound on there in a minute. Not sure if I can't hear it, but. But you can leave the sound where it is and I'll just talk over it. This is a choreographer who's actually been in many national things and things like that, but he was out of work. The producer was out of work. The person that wrote the poem was out of work. The composer wasn't working much. Actually, if you can go back up and hit play on We All Reflect Hope. And so this was really 5 people that have worked together usually, but worked over online, and then had, people film them with family members and things like that. And they made this piece. So this is a total collaborative piece, and this dancer, kind of goes through and does his story through dance. Okay, yeah, you can pause that one, but it's a really cool piece. And then play this one real quick. This is BK Fulton. He runs Solidify Productions, and you can see it's just him in front of a microphone, and then he has some pictures go over top of it, and that's it. But it's a really poignant piece because it's the story. What is he telling us? You can't hear it, but he's basically telling you about don't forget people on the margins. And that's what he's talking about all the way through. Okay, go ahead and play this one. And then this is a 360 video. So would you please drag around Rob or whoever it is, if it's one of you. And yep, drag to the left so we can see Paul and if it'll do it for you. Well, maybe you can't do it in this. But anyway, this is one of those videos you can actually grab and look around 360. So you can look up, you can look down, you can look all over the place. And so this was another perspective. So you can see that we had so many different kinds of pieces just on this one prompt. Okay, we can pause that. And so you're welcome to go check these out or not. But okay, we can go to the next slide for our. Yeah. Okay, but just wanted to give you that point because we're about to give you a project, and it's the same kind of thing. I'm going to want you to, take your perspective and do that. So if we can go back to the slideshow, we'll move forward on that. I'm sorry you couldn't hear it, but please check those out just so you have a reference. That would be good. Thanks, Stacy. Okay, so we basically, some real simple concepts is what do you do when you're coming up with a story? It's the same thing you do with your video concept, and that is pre-production. You're really pre-planning. Look for the story. What is the story? What are the images and the sounds you'll use? What are the photos or the shots that will work? Think of using different angles like we talked about, where you can, compositions. The best way to improvise is to be prepared, so if you've got a battery charged, you're in better shape. If you've got the microphone, if you don't have a microphone, we know we can use the iPad's microphone or whatever it is that you're using. So that's okay. And then what makes your piece unique? Next slide. Okay, so to do that, we often need some kind of tool to pre-plan, right? To kind of get our thoughts down. You have as a handout is a video production worksheet. And I'd like you to consider filling that out or to fill that out. And you can see where it'll say producer, then you put your name, and which is Mason Mills, and the date, July 10th. And then the idea. What's the idea of this video? And you're going to fill that out. Mine is to tell my story of what it's like living in our house during the epidemic. Okay? You don't have to do that, but in a minute, I'll be more specific about what your project is. My copy can be questions I want to ask if it's going to be an interview, but if it's going to be my narrative, then something like I can actually write a script. I could say I first started working at home in March 2020, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes don't get up for hours and hardly see the sun. My kids thought it was summer break immediately when schools closed the first day. I mean, I can get into all those details and write that out as my script. Video, have a list of what it is that you want to shoot, like we talked about, then still images, sounds, and music. But list that stuff out. It really helps you kind of start to imagine your piece. Okay, next slide. All right, the production, that's putting the plan into place. Most of us know that when you actually start shooting or start filming or start doing whatever project you've planned, you have to adapt. Well, how are you going to film yourself and your subject or your subject? film yourself, subject considering composition and audio, all the things we talked about, emphasize story, and then make choices, making choices, not just happening to be standing in the sun or not in the sun. Make choices. You have editing. You can see me during the office hours. So if you have questions, but then you're going to import your video into whatever you're going to edit with, which is WeVideo is a fantastic program if you haven't used it, but most of the teachers I know about WeVideo. And I can help you with that, but there's iMovie, there's all kinds of other things. So that's a basic concept of post-production. I put things in order. That's really what you're doing. You can pick one clip or you can pick multiple clips in a row to tell us that sequence, that story. Okay, next. All right, so we have some images here. We're going to go more into, because of time, we're going to start looking at compositions a little more. Before I go too far, does anyone have any questions right now? You could throw it in a chat. I'll look at the chat, actually, because I see there's a bunch of stuff up there. Raise your hand if you want, or unmute and say, I have a question. Okay. All right. Well, you can see this composition. Why is this picture framed this way? Elena, can you tell me a little bit about, or Elena? I'm not sure if it's Elena or Elena.
Elena.
Okay. Tell me why this is framed this way.
I mean the statue's in the middle, third, right? Like right in the middle. So it's kind of like the center of everything.
Where do your eyes go?
Towards the middle.
Okay, and then where?
And then towards the front where all the people are.
Yeah. I go to the guy on the skateboard often. Is that where you go?
I'm drawn to the middle initially. I think because of the way the sky frames it and there's so much space behind it, it has like a nice contrast.
What's so Andrea, what's the story or caption that you might say? What are you seeing here, and what might story? Andrea Burke. Hi. I can't hear you. Yeah,
Okay, sorry. Let's see. You want me to come up with a title?
Yeah, or caption or something. I'm sure
Caption?
Don talked about captions yesterday, probably. I'm not sure.
I would say a new day.
There you go. And with that caption, does it change the photo? I think it gives it that positive feeling. I mean, I think there's a positive feeling there anyway, personally, but okay, next picture. So Andrea, I'm going to stay with you. How about here? Tell me this one. Do you have a story or an idea on this one?
Initial thoughts would be like strength or hope.
Okay.
Yeah, because initially I didn't see that the young man was holding another picture of George Floyd, and so that kind of plays into or change. Hope is not big enough.
Right. Okay, next picture, and let's go to Marla Wilson. This is probably a little more plain, but tell me what your thoughts are on this one, framing wise and story.
So Robert E. Lee is still there up in the clouds, but the foreground, which is both slightly canted is that welcome to beautiful David Marcus Peter Circle, liberated by the people. So the text in it is giving you a lot of meaning. Both the previous one and this one, I can't come up with good words, but I want like the new monuments of Monument Avenue was my thought of the previous one. Because, you know, the men look so like happy and joyful, even with that picture of George Floyd behind the graffiti and with the powerful salute. Sorry, I'm not answering your question. This one feels the same to me, like where this is the new monument.
Okay, great. Okay, next picture. Shayward, I'd like to get your input on this one. And I know we've got to end pretty soon, but so
All righty.
what do you think? So before you answer, I want you to look at this picture the best you can. Hopefully you can see the whole thing.
Okay, give me a minute here.
Okay.
Okay.
And then next picture, please.
Okay.
What are the differences that you notice?
Okay, can I see the other one? I don't know, it's just that the second one is clearer. I see the graffiti in the background, Black Fathers Matter. Okay, so are the fathers...
Stay on number 2, Rob. Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, tell me a little bit about this one and then the quick differences that you noticed. They were clearer.
Clearer, yes, much clearer, yes.
And then what's the story here?
Apparently these fathers have gotten together. Maybe they're playing basketball with their sons, I'm thinking. And of course they're near the monument somewhere. They're off Monument Avenue somewhere in that neighborhood.
So Rob, go to the previous image, please. Okay, so these are the same exact image, but I've made choices. So this is the original, and this is kind of dark, and you can see it's wider. There's extra people to the right and to the left. But then go to the next picture, Rob, and I cropped it in, and I brightened it up a little bit.
Yes.
And why do you think I did that?
It's better on the eyes. I mean, you can really see more details.
Yeah, I find my eyes go, you know, I'm to the ball, I'm to the gentleman shooting the ball, I'm to the guys watching his shot. It does go in, by the way. And then, and then I'm like you did, you went to the sign, Black Fathers Matter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because of speed, we'll move on. Okay, videos tell a story over the course of real time, obviously. So here's your project. You must create a short bio about yourself or a person you know. But probably about yourself because you're going to have much more access to you. Okay, how will this story be told? With audio and images. What audio will be best? Narration or interview? What imagery will be utilized? Video, graphics, photos? And again, you have access to this. I know people are writing it down, but you have access. What other choices can you make? Okay, next slide, because I know we got to get out of here. Supplies needed, video production worksheet, and then all the equipment and stuff that you're going to need to put it together. Okay, next. And then keep going. We'll just skip on down to the end. All this stuff you can look through. This is just some basic, right there, review. Back to 21. Okay, so here's the review. A video story is made up of imagery and sound. You have pre-production, so I really want you to plan this video that you're supposed to do, this bio. Then you're going to go into production and then post-production. And we'll give you dates when they're due. I'm not exactly sure, Rob, do you want to mention when they should be due? If it's next week or if it's longer.
Fuck, next week.
Or
There's
is
a
it
feedback session with you on Monday, so if they can have parts of it together. Office hours are Friday, so any technical questions that they have, we'll follow up with that Zoom link. This presentation, and I put the production worksheet into the chat. all this is in Blackboard. So you have access to all these links and resources.
My office hours are 10 to 11. Oh, I think it's 10 to 11 on Friday. And then, but yeah, by Monday, you should have something put together.
Mason, did you want to set a min-max, like a minute, but less than 3?
Yep. Yeah, let's do that. Probably about a minute to 2 minutes long. Nothing longer than that. That would be great.
So think about that, and essential elements, editing things down, finding learning targets and standards. That is the same process in getting video down.
Beginning, middle, and end.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you guys. Really appreciate that. If you do have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I know that this was kind of a quick review, but I appreciate your input on all of that and being, thank you for participating.
All right, let's give Mason I love the peace out from Karen, but round of applause, and I love that. All right, thank you all. Everything, as we said, is in Blackboard. If you do have questions, email us. Thanks. Have a great Wednesday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.